Hey, listen. Welcome again to another session of Talks and Chats. We're thankful, grateful. This is going to be a wonderful night. I believe as we share tonight, something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get delivered. Somebody might get healed. Change is going to happen. But as I always say, tell somebody, let somebody know that we're on the air. Tell somebody on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, however you share it. Let somebody know that we're here on purpose at Zion Global Ministries. And tonight, I'm here with my man, a mentee, a young bruh, a young blood, a guy that I've been knowing since he was about 14, 15 years old. He goes by the name of Barry Bondz now, but you know, I know him as Barry Holland. So welcome, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'm so thankful that you can even be here, man. You know, when I think about the history, it just messes with my head. You know, when I see you now and then I can see your face in the 10th grade, you know, and I'm like, bruh, that's been 30 years. That's 30 years ago. So tonight, I want you to share just a little bit, man, about you. Like, who are you? Where you come from? You know, when did you get back to Cincinnati? You know, let them know that stuff, and then we're gonna proceed a little bit.
Okay. Well, you know, started out Barry Holland. That's the surname, but I'm from Lincoln Heights, born and raised. And, you know, been here, Lincoln Heights Baptist, and now, you know, Zion Global, and played a very integral part of my life, my whole life. You know, I was, you know, pretty much grew up grandchild of a minister, Reverend Jesse O'Connor, and who's since passed on. But he started out in Lincoln Heights, brought my whole family through Lincoln Heights back in the day, and church was just pretty much commonplace. It was just, you know, this is where we go. You know, it's just no two words about it. It's that Sunday morning, you getting up for Sunday school, and my mama had me in church, you know, since, you know, 3-4 years old, you know.
See, some of the folks don't know your mama. Tell them your mama, man.
Cheryl O'Connor. Cheryl O'Connor, my mama, love her to death. She, my mother, introduced me to all of this, you know. I was real young, and she was just so active at church. You know, she started the church newspaper. I don't know if they know, but she started the church newspaper over at Lincoln Heights, and she also was instrumental in taping the first, you know, the first messages, and then after that, Miss Perry took over that and started mass producing. You know, but she was also president of the choir for a little time. And, you know, she played a big part. She was very active. So me watching her be active in church made me want to be active. Right. You know, because she did everything. You know, she even was doing, church comedy as well. That's right. You know,
I remember.
And she was going places and places. She was doing church comedy. And you got to think about it, you know. It's my mom, she up there telling jokes, and, you know, I'm like, come on, Ma. It was embarrassing at the time, but, you know, I thank God for that, because just watching her take that role of being involved, just being involved, you know, that helped me and getting me out there as well. But, you know, came up through Princeton High School, you know, graduated, went on to college, Wright State University, you know, found the love of music. I, you know, in the church all through my high school years. I was in the church Monday through Sunday, you know, was able to be touched by, you know, the leadership of Reverend Pifus. I mean, I tell you, man, without the groundwork that he laid, I don't know where my life would be right now. I really don't, you know, because I came to this church in a time that it was very vital.
Yeah, man.
It was really vital, because I was 13 years old, going on 14. I had experienced some very traumatic situations early on. And like I was telling you before, that just, you know, your involvement, being my mentor, being my tutor.
Yeah, that's what was so deep.
Yeah, that's how I met you.
I was trying to tell some folks, listen, we had this thing called Project Educare.
Right.
You know, and they asked me if I would tutor in math. And they said, well, this your guy, Barry. And I was like, okay. all right, what's up with Barry? You know, it's like, I think you was doing geometry or something at the time, or algebra or something. You know, but then we just started connecting and vibing, just, you know, we do some teaching, do some talking, and I'm like, okay, this is cool, you know. And I didn't even know. I mean, I had never really met you. I mean, I'd seen you, you know, but I hadn't met you. So now we doing like weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. We was coming together, sitting down. I'm like, okay, who would ever know how long of a lasting connection, you know, how things last, you know, and it's meant so much to me, man. I promise you, it's meant. When you went to New York, and that's the thing, I want you to just hit that a little bit, because there was a point where you transitioned. I mean, you was doing some different things. I was kind of tracking a little bit, but this was all prior to social media. You know, you can't track somebody, you know, unless you're talking to them on the phone, you know, but social media is out now, so you can see where people are. But prior to that, okay, you went to Wright State, you did some other things, you know, like what got you into, how did you get to New York?
Well, you know what, I'll backtrack just a little bit, because coming up in that program, one, I was reluctant to go. You know, what kid wants to sit there for like an hour or two or whatnot and be tutored, you know, geometry, but it was a chance for me to be able to get around some other individuals, you know, some grown men that had their stuff together, you know, that was on the ball. I seen you in your suits every time you came, and that just left a lasting impression. Exactly, left a lasting impression on me. And it's funny that you probably don't know is that that's what shaped my mind to say, okay, this is how you go to work. You go in the suit. My father, he was there for me all through my life. Greatest father ever. But he worked a lot. Both of my parents worked a lot. So I was a latchkey kid, stayed at home most of the time. I'm an only child. So I didn't really have that chance to really interact with other individuals until I was able to go to the church. So in going to the church and meeting you, I think it was like what, we met like once a week, twice a week, something like that. You would always come in with your suit and tie, and that left an impression on me, to the point now where that's the only way I know. Suit and ties, you know, going to work. I told my wife, I said, look, I imagine myself when I entered into the corporate world, carrying a briefcase, which I would see you do, coming in with shirt and tie.
I didn't even think about that, man.
And these are just little impressions that, you know, as a youth, that, you know, since we're so impressionable as kids, that we take with us, you know, and it's just like for you, you know, you coming from work, it's just, you know, just coming, let me give back, and but to me it was something different.
That's what I was, just give back.
Exactly.
You know, I'm like, I'm kind of fresh still. I got some stuff in my head. You know, but I was like 28. To be real.
And to me that was just like.
I'm 58 now. You know what I'm saying? So how old are you now?
I'm 45.
Jeez.
So to me, it was just very impressionable. I was just like, wow, that's how I want to.
I got you.
I want to go to work. That's how I want to be every day, a businessman. You know, and at that particular time, it was 14. I had faced some traumatic experiences where I had a friend that was very close to me. He got killed, and he was playing Russian roulette. And I had brought him to the church. His name is Nick Lemon, and we were, you know, brought him to the church. We was playing ball. He used to cut my hair. You know, we used to hang out. You know, he used to give me that big brother type, you know, talk or whatever. He looked out for me, and he was playing Russian roulette. He was supposed to come to church for watch night for New Year's Eve, and he was at the house. I was supposed to get my hair cut there, and I was late. So when I'm coming down there, because he stayed down the street, I just saw ambulance, and they were just wheeling his body out, you know? So that happened, which really just kind of messed me up because it was my first time experiencing death. 2 months later, we had a situation where a young guy who I was pretty close with, his name was Jimmy Sales, he passed away, where his mom and his dad were going through some issues, and she committed suicide while we were at the football game. We were at the football game that night. It was a Friday night. We were at the game, and he was asking everybody like, hey, you know, can I come over your house and spend the night? Because we didn't stay too far. He stayed probably 5 blocks from me or whatever.
In Lincoln Heights.
Yeah, in Lincoln Heights. I was on Chester Road. He was over by Simpson Court. And he was like, you know, can I stay the night? And I was just like, nah, I don't know. You know, I asked my mother, you know, it's late. And he went home. He found his mom in a car running with the garage door down. She was already passed on, and he tried to go in not knowing and save her, but he was overtaken by the fumes, and that's how he passed. So with these two deaths back to back, I was just going through, and I didn't know I was rebelling. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know. I was just in that situation.
Was you at Princeton then, or were you at?
Yeah, I was at Princeton.
Did you ever go to Fairfield?
Yeah, I went to Fairfield for a year to play ball.
Okay.
But that's where you got me, where we linked up at Princeton when I was, that was junior high for me. And once that happened, I was able to get into the church, get a little active at the time, and just the mentorship and just being around other grown men just helped me considerably. And it all is crazy because all of you all were Kappas.
Deep.
Every last one of you.
That's deep.
Fred Oduye.
True.
There was Fred, there was John, and then there was you, and then there was Philip.
Yeah.
So that's 4 Kappa, men of Kappa Alpha Psi, right there.
And Chapman is too.
And Chapman. Mike Chapman. How could I forget Mike? That's my man. Yeah. And Mike. Yeah. So all of you guys, that's 5 men of Kappa Alpha Psi that was there hands-on with me.
Interesting.
To keep me good throughout from 14 to 17.
You're not even thinking, man.
Not even think I could have went anyway.
I'm seeing this guy, right?
The streets, I was living in Lincoln Heights. The streets was, very active at that time. At that time of 14, I was breaking into homes and Valley Homes, stealing starter coats, hanging out with one of my friends who was bad influence on me. And then my mom saw it. I got into a little situation. I had to go to 2020. Right. And that's where I was like, is this what you want? This don't work.
Yeah, this don't work.
And then I got into the church and boom, and that was able to help save me.
Amen.
Help save me. So I'm very thankful for that time. I'm thankful for, you being there, and unknowingly, you never know how much of an impact you have on someone else.
Yeah, because I was like, Project Educator.
Yeah. Oh, man, you never know how much of an impact that you have. Right, right. But it's been a lasting impact, and it's been 30 years. We've always stayed in touch, so, it's very, very helpful, very instrumental. And, what led me to New York was I got the bug from Reverend Pifus for music.
I got you.
I found that love in Lincoln Heights, and he was just like, he just had everything rolling. He had everybody moving on all cylinders. He had the youth choir going. He had the youth steering committee going. Right. And all of these different aspects just helped to keep us, in that zone, on that straight path. And
y'all were doing music too.
And we was doing music, but I got the love here. My mother, I remember the Tuesday, my mother brought me to choir rehearsal. She was like, I want you to go to choir rehearsal. I was like, no, I don't want to go. So I stayed in the back. She was like, no, boy, you're going. Get up there. So I got up there. And me, at the time, this is like, 89, something like that. I'm thinking like, what am I doing? I'm not a singer. I don't know how to sing. But I learned that I had these different talents.
I got you.
And from there, it just grew. So it grew to the point where I wanted to take it professionally. So, that was one of the things that led me to New York. Now, I've had 3 different stints in New York, and what initially led me there was working in the music industry. A producer that I was working with, he had got a song that he did with Foxy Brown called Stylin'. And that song pretty much took off, And working with him, I was like, you know what? I think I need to move to New York, to get a little closer to the industry. And so I did that. And lo and behold, I was able to, secure jobs with, Universal Music Group. I was able to work with, Puff Daddy and, Bad Boy Entertainment. And, being there, that's a whole nother story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I could write a book.
Chapter 15.
Yeah, I could write a book on just what it took.
Yeah.
But it was always everything that I learned from 14 to 17 that kept me where I needed to be.
Yeah.
I could have went anywhere in the music industry. We got staffers that's doing all kind of drugs. We got this going on over here as far as, just
how far you want to go.
Yeah, the craziness.
Which direction you want to go.
Exactly,
it's all
but
right there.
This being laying the foundation, the mentorship that I received laid the foundation for me to stay on the right road.
Yeah, there was this thing that Pastor was doing, even Sunday, he hit it a little bit. dealing with these stumps, man, and this whole message about stumps, and that a lot of us are just stumps, that sometimes people just say, grind them up and, get rid of that stump, But the stump is so strong that it can come back.
Right.
And so if you don't grind it up and you feed it, and actually understand what's going on below the ground, that there are anchor roots underneath that stump that keeps it strong, that you don't just pull a stump up.
Right.
It don't just happen, And truth be told, it can start to grow, and you'll see growth come back out of that, whether it's a bush or whatever, but there's growth that's coming out of that stump.
Right.
So you're like, okay, I might have caught you at a time when you might have been at your very lowest. You know what I'm saying? Like through my life, throughout this journey, things happen. Stuff happens, wrong path, wrong decision, blah, blah, blah. And so things happen, right? But it ain't over.
Right.
It's not over, right? And you think back to your times, as you said, that 13, 14, whatever, all the way to 17, 18, boom.
Yeah.
You were grounded enough.
Yeah.
That at 45, you still got your head, you still got some sense, you know what I mean? And you still making some decisions, and you still have life.
Yeah.
And who knows what's the next?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're moving here.
Yeah.
Right? You're in the process of moving to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a decision to leave Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And come here.
Right.
And I know you got family. Right? So you got your wife. Son here, and so it's time to make another decision. Yeah. Right? And so when we saw you this past weekend, it was like, wow. Yeah. I hadn't seen you with the whole family, but when I saw you together, I'm like, man, this dude is a grown man. Right. Husband, father, the roles that you had to play, there's a lot of decisions you had to make to get to that point, to get to this point where you're at right now at 45 years old. And who knows what's next, what's ahead of you. I know that there's some things that you said that are just really in your heart. You said, I'm ready to do something.
Yeah, I'm ready to get back active because I feel that I owe it. And being up in New York for this past visit, well, I call it a visit, of 11 years, I wasn't able to really do the things that I wanted to do as far as giving back because I owe this church, I owe it a lot. I owe it my time. I owe it my participation, my presence, just like you guys. You were 28. You probably wanted to go home and hang out, at the time, but you still took time to come to the church and to mentor me, in that time. And even though it was just a thing for you, it was very impressionable for me because it helped me to see what I needed to see. Because let's be honest, how many kids are like really able to, interact with, young executives, young, corporate, professionals in their field that are going, moving and shaking, able to dress in shirt and ties. Because in Lincoln Heights, to be honest with you, mostly what I saw were, if you worked at GE, you didn't, or you're on the streets hanging out, that's what I saw every day, so that's why it was so impressionable for me. Exposure. That's what I want to do now to give back to the youth. Yeah. Now, I haven't always made the right decisions. In fact, I went through a stage in 2015 where I was just really mixed up. And I had to really try to find my way because I was going through this bout of who am I internally and, what religion do I associate with? Is it Islam? Because I converted to Islam for a time.
I got you.
And I was, going to Mosque number 7 up in Harlem, Mosque 7C up in Brooklyn. And, I was really exploring. I was studying, trying to find out what is the real truth.
Got it.
Where does the truth come from? And I always thought back to Pastor Pipes's, his sermons from back in like the 95 through 97, where he was talking about Christmas and he was breaking down some of these, these cultural norms, that as a black community we look at and we just go out and we spend the most money and we do this and it hurts us in the end, but he was brave enough to be able to speak out against that. But that actually just kind of started my, thinking, into what's real.
Yeah.
If he can go up in front of a whole big church and say that,
Yeah.
it's a pagan holiday, we don't really need to, invest too much money into buying these gifts and doing that, brave enough to do that, then you know what? I owe it to be able to go in and try to research and find out, what lane is best for me. So I converted to Islam. I stayed there for a time. I stayed there for a time. I really enjoyed the discipline of Islam. But, at the heart, you always come back to, what made you, to your roots.
Yeah,
you always come back.
I got you.
And, this is what made me. Here is what made me. So I want to be able to give back and, spend time with the youth and do it, right now instead of waiting.
Yeah. And now see, I'm going to tell you something about the right now because, I had some issues, man. Like, when you start having issues with people, sometimes people can distract you.
Right.
And get you off your path.
Yeah.
God he has a path for you.
Right.
And you're like, but so-and-so is right there. And I'm like, I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I'll go this way.
Right.
Right? And he's like, but you never experienced, at least at that time, you didn't experience what it was going to be like for that distraction.
Right.
Oh, I was going to move that.
Right.
You didn't know I was gonna move it because you could see it, but I was thinking about, back 20 years ago. So 20 years ago puts me in my 30s, I'm 38, going on 40, and I'm like, man, I'm ready to jump back in with youth, right? But there was something in my way, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with that. So I just went into the social ministry, and I just start pouring in a different way, But seeing y'all wasn't around no more, by that time, you grown and stuff. And I'm just like, these new kids.
Right.
And all I could think about is they really need, they still need, something. And folks like Troy and Chapman and, Mike Young weren't around no more.
Yeah.
Time is passing on, and I'm like, it's still needed.
Yeah.
Today, it's still needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the realness of the reality of life and journeys, and people make decisions, and sometimes they just need to be exposed to somebody that's trying, that's doing, that got some experiences that can share. And speak life into a 20-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, you know what I mean? So I'm excited.
Oh, helping them would definitely help me help myself,
Yeah.
just because, our conversations that I've had, I've gone off the deep end sometimes. That's just, it's kind of like who I am in a sense. It's like if I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Gotcha.
So, I've had times where I've been trying to find my way this whole time, just trying to find my way. I'm in New York and, everything is hustle and bustle. New York will actually change you. And I felt myself changing. I felt myself being, just bitter. And that's what Rev was talking about this past weekend.
Deep.
When he was speaking, I'm sitting there looking like, Rev, please, come on, you're killing me. Come on, man. I felt like there was a spotlight that was just shining right on me. Like God just made it for me. No, you're going to go and you're going to sit on the first row.
Today's your day.
Today is your day. You're going to get dealt with. And I don't have no problem getting dealt with.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to be wrong.
I got you.
I want to be right. I want to be walking the right way, in the right manner. But I was just, mixed up, just doing all kind of things. Being a father, it's not easy. Being a husband, it's definitely not easy. And I was just telling on the podcast that we have, I was telling Mike, I said, we needed you then. We definitely need you now. I need you now because it's like I really don't know how to handle some of the things that I'm, going through in a sense, as far as being a father, making sure that I'm bringing up my son right, making sure that I'm being attentive to my wife and making sure that I'm taking care of her. My wife tells me all the time, like, I need you to be the spiritual leader of this household. Do I know how to do that? And the only way that you can, fall in line with that is if you give it up and you say, look, everything that I was doing, I'm giving that up. I need to follow and see where God wants to put me. I'll give that up because all of that that was back in that rear view was headaches, stress, anger, resentment, bitterness, you know, all of that. And now just make a clean break and move into a new direction. Yeah. And God will set it up sometimes for you, not even know it.
That's the key.
Yeah, you'll lose relationships, you'll fall out with people. I found myself falling out with friends and messing up relationships.
But he's separating.
Separating. And I would say this to myself, because up in New York, I was pretty much by myself.
Yeah.
It was just us. I mean, I didn't have any family like that up there. Okay. So it was just like anything I was dealing with, going through, I had to figure it out myself. But God would be in my ear. Yeah. You know, and it's just all about, are you going to move when he says move, or are you going to sit in it and suffer? So I said, you know what? I don't want to sit in it and suffer anymore. I don't want to be angry. Yeah. You know, for those who've seen anything on social media,
right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be angry anymore. And I was in a bad spot. I was in a hurtful spot, hurtful place in my life where I just couldn't understand where life was taking me. It was so uncomfortable. Yeah. You know? And
you know, when you were going through that, it makes you react and respond.
Exactly.
Your reaction, though, is typically out of emotions and, you know, what you're feeling.
Exactly.
And when you respond and you get a chance to think, you know, and that's the best thing, I believe, man, in the heart of hearts, down and deep inside of you, is the ability to think.
Yeah.
Man, it matters.
Yeah.
You know, when he says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, it's the ability to think. You are transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mindset has caused you to make some good decisions.
Right.
You know, and when you look back and say, well, I shouldn't have did that, but your ability to think about it said that wasn't good.
Right.
So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm gonna do this over here.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Seems simple. That's not simple.
Right.
That's not simple.
Not
you know,
all.
we wrestle within ourselves.
Right.
You know, and that wrestling back and forth, man, it's who's gonna win.
Yeah.
You know, there's this piece that's taking you in the right direction, and there's a piece that's trying to pull you back into something else.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, you could just do that over there. No, I shouldn't do that. Yeah, but it'll be okay. No, it won't be okay.
Right.
So Pastor, he said something Sunday, right? And it was like, this thing hits me all the time. There's a way that seemeth right, but the end is destruction.
Yeah.
But it seems right at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it may have been out of my emotions or my reaction at
or
the
being
time.
in the world.
And I got that experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so things come back. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I know what to do there.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Right.
You take a pause, take a time out for a minute, so you can process and think through it. You know, and then you can hear. You know, because I'm thinking you're hearing more now than you've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I'm trying to hear.
Yeah.
Because I know I haven't done it the right way.
Yeah.
I feel like if I did it the right way, then I wouldn't have been feeling the things that I was feeling. But then when I come back home and I hear the word, and now it's just like all falling back in place.
Right.
It's like, wow, I've been tripping. That's when I come back and I say, wow, I've been, I needed to, you know, to get that spiritual butt whooping in a sense, you know.
Yeah, but hearing, man.
Right.
Hearing allowed you to process.
Exactly.
You know, you process the right way.
Exactly.
Versus your way.
Right.
You know, and we're not really our own, you know. We've been bought with a price, man. So, you know, it's like I give up my life in order for, it's a sacrifice, you know. I sacrifice for my wife, sacrifice for my child, sacrifice for church, I sacrifice for friends, you know. It's a giving, you know. I'll receive, I ain't gotta worry about that. But that which I give is a sacrifice for me to do. But I count it.
Yeah.
I count that cost. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know. So you're in a good place, bro.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
in a
Most
real
definitely.
good place, man.
Most
And
definitely.
I just wanted to catch up with you, man. Just be able to spend a little bit of time with you. Know there's so much more that we're gonna get a chance to talk about. But for the people that have tuned in, I wanted them to hear my friend, my young brother, speak and just open up, because you're gonna see him around. For those of you who attend Zion Global Local, you're gonna be seeing my man Barry around. For those of you who are around the country that's tuning in, you're gonna see him again, because he's gonna be in front of that camera in the future. tonight was a great night. Thank you again, brother. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate
what I'm saying.
Definitely appreciate
Shalom.
The sign you know, go in the streets where